Hey there! Watch me cook empanadas for the Master's Commission program at PCC. Let's do it! So here are my purchased ingredients. I've reached just below my budget, and here are my ingredients. And my budget was $50. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to wash our hands, and then what we're going to do is get our ground beef. This is just below 1 pound of ground beef. This recipe will need 2 pounds. So we're just gonna open up that package. And then afterwards we're gonna get our bowl, our clean bowl, and then we're just gonna put that ground beef into our bowl. We're gonna use this whole package. Now we're gonna get another package of ground beef, and we're just gonna use half of this package. And by the way, you wanna have a pot, not with boiling water, just a regular pot on the stove. And after that, we're just gonna throw in that ground beef into that pot. And the temperature should be about like 6. And we're also going to put a little bit of water, like a 1/4 cup of water in that. And we're just going to let that sit and just let that cook. And then afterwards, we're going to grab our red bell pepper. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slice this up into thin slices. And then afterwards, we're just going to chop the red bell pepper up. And you also want to make sure that you wash these before using them. These are how our chopped red bell peppers should look. You want them pretty small. And we're just gonna throw those into our ground beef. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a yellow onion and we're just gonna chop it up. And this is going to be for our ground beef filling. So first off, you're gonna wanna peel that yellow onion. Cut first the top and then cut the bottom as well. and here's how it looks. And then afterwards, just toss your scraps to the side, and we're just gonna cut this in 4 pieces. So 1, and 2. And we're just gonna chop these up. We're not gonna use the second half of the onion, we're just gonna use the first half. And here is how they look like. We're just gonna do like a quick chop throughout all of them. And then we're just gonna throw them into our ground beef filling. Now we're just gonna mix that up. Your ground beef should have still some water in there, but if it doesn't, just add some water. Like, not that much, just so that you can get all the vegetables to be incorporated in it. And now we're gonna take our garlic head, and we're gonna only peel off 4 garlic cloves, and these ones, they're gonna go into our ground beef filling. And now we're just gonna chop these up with our knife. And just remember, you want to really make sure that your fingers are not near that end of the knife. It's a danger. It's a safety hazard. We're just gonna throw those into our ground beef filling. And now we're gonna take our pasta sauce. This is tomato, basil, garlic, and we're just gonna put a little bit of that pasta sauce into our ground beef filling. Now, this may seem weird, but this will give some acidity to that ground beef filling and really just blend the flavors together. And you could just add a little and then add as needed. So now we're gonna take our plastic bowl, and we're gonna take our measuring cups, our fourth cup measuring cup and our half cup measuring cup, and we're gonna get our flour as well. And we're gonna take our half cup measuring cup, and we're gonna measure out 3 cups of flour. And then we're gonna take our 4th cup and measure out a 4th cup of flour. All right? Well, actually, we're gonna measure out 3/4 cups of flour, and then we're gonna take 10 spoonfuls of butter. You can add 12 spoonfuls if you would like. This will just make the dough a lot less dry. So now we're just gonna wash our hands, and we're just gonna get ready to knead in that flour with the butter. And I recommend, after washing your hands, adding some flour to your hands. And now we're just gonna knead that butter into the flour. As the end product, you should feel the flour beginning to be less powdery and become more grainy. And with those clumps of butter, what you want to do is you want to just squeeze them and slowly but surely incorporate that into the flour. And soon enough, it'll be fully distributed throughout the flour. And make sure you get those corners as well. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get ready to add in our water to this mixture. Well, actually, we're gonna get ready to add in our salt and our sugar. So you wanna get a spoonful of sugar and just add that. And then we're gonna get a teaspoon of salt. So just get your teaspoon of salt. You can also just add like a pinch of salt with your fingers. It doesn't really matter. And we're just gonna whisk that together. But not really using a whisk, using our spoon. Either way is fine. And now we've added our water. We've added our 2 cups and 1/4 cup of water, and now we're just kneading that water, and it'll turn into a dough. And you want to do this until the dough doesn't stick to your hands when you knead it. And this should take about 5 minutes. And while we're done that, we're just gonna mix our ground beef again. You want to do a nice whisk on your ground beef, and this is how the dough should look. You want to do a nice whisk because the ground beef might start sticking to the pan, so just make sure you really whisk that nicely. Now we're going to take a piece of our dough, and we're just going to get our plate and put some flour on it, and now we're just going to flatten out our dough. Now I don't have a rolling pin, so I just use my hands and my knuckles, but you can use a rolling pin to roll out your dough. And we're just going to take a regular cup, and we're just going to use that as like our mold, and we're just going to spread that circle that we just cut out, and that's going to be our empanada base. And we're just going to add our beef filling, which we turned off, and we're just gonna fold that together in a half-like shape. And you can use the back end of your spoon to like kind of push the meat to keep it from falling out of the dough, because you don't want it to fall out of the dough. So you want to make sure that you close up the ends of the dough really, really nicely. I didn't do this, but you can use the edge of the ends like of a fork to close up those empanada ends. That's up to you, but either way is fine. You don't have to. Just make sure you press into those like the corners of the empanada to make sure that it doesn't open while baking. And yeah, so you just do this. This will make about, it depends on the size, but this is how it looks when you put it into your platter. I just sprinkled some flour on top of them, and then I put some parsley when they came out of the oven. This is how they look when they come out of the oven, and this is what I tried one and they were delicious, and then brought them to the Master's Commission program at PCC.